Hi guys, so recently I bought a PSP, and one of the reasons for doing that is that I found out that you could do analog video out. So you can get a component, an svideo or composite cable, and then hook it up to an external screen. And so what I've got here is a svideo cable connected to my CRT that will take an svideo input, and then I'm capturing that svideo output from the PSP as well. And so what I thought I'd do is maybe, this is a bit of a test of the capture here, and over a few videos I guess feature a few games, some of the games that I'm playing on the PSP, because it's quite an interesting system with a lot of kind of exclusive games that are pretty decent. So what I've got here is Parodius Portable. So this game is a compilation of the Parodius games. And what kind of sets it apart from other compilations is that it's not just simply a compilation of games. It also features a kind of remake of the original MSX game that came out in 1988. So anyone who saw my most recent Maymeister's High Score kerfuffle video will have seen that I featured the MSX game, and I was playing that on my Mr. FPGA, and so we were seeing pretty accurate recreation of that MSX game. And whilst the game is fun, it's a decent shooter and a kind of the original parody of Gradius. What it lacks is really the graphics. I mean, a lot of the sprites are monochrome, and for the most part they do look okay. But when you then compare it to the later arcade releases, you can see how basic it looks. And so for me personally, I'm not, graphics don't worry me too much. Gameplay is obviously much more important. But some of those kind of 8-bit graphics will put a chunk of people off. And so to have an updated version of that game that's much more kind of graphically appealing is really quite nice. And so yeah, this is the first level of the MSX game here, and it's pretty much recreated perfectly. This is the mid-level boss here, this giant head that spits things out and blows bubbles out of its nose. We see we've picked up one of the options. Like the Parodius arcade games, you've got 3 buttons. You've got shoot, you've got the bomb, and then the power up button. It's Gradius, so you pick up the power ups and then activate them. It does have an auto activate of some of the power ups. So the first speed one, and then when we got to the option, it automatically activated that. But you can also activate them manually. So that's it's kind of, I think you can probably turn the automatic off. I didn't actually look in the options. I wouldn't be surprised if you could turn the auto off, because auto is not going to appeal to everyone. But it does make the game a little bit easy. You can't, sometimes in Gradius you can accidentally miss the one you were looking for. And early on you want to pick up those options particularly, because they really power your ship up. So we're just approaching the first stage boss. Anyone who watched my other video will see, will have seen this boss. And actually, the boss in the MSX game is probably the best looking bit, and it's the same boss that's then in the first arcade game as well. So we've got this penguin and the smaller penguins rotating around it. Because you have kind of 3 buttons to do things here, you have to kind of hammer the fire button and the missile button if you want to use both, which on a gamepad is not the easiest. Fortunately, the buttons are next to each other, and you can kind of spread your thumb across both buttons. And actually playing this, similar to when I was playing the MSX game, it's pretty tough, and even just kind of completing the first level without losing a life isn't easy. And like any kind of Gradius game, when you die, because you lose all your power-ups, it can be pretty difficult after that. So we weren't far away from killing him, I don't think. We still had a bit. Let's see if we can take him out again. but you know, we've obviously lost our power-ups now. We had the option and the laser. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Parodius series. I really enjoyed playing the arcade game last week, and whilst the MSX game was fun, you know, as I said, it was kind of lacking graphically. And so this update I think is really great. I'd really recommend anyone who, you know, maybe has played some of the MSX game, played some of the Parodius games, and wants to try the MSX version. This is probably the best way to do it in 2021. And the PSP emulates okay, so you know, you can fire up an emulator, and I expect this will run absolutely fine, because this isn't particularly taxing. You know, a 2D sprite based game on the PSP that can handle 3D games as well. But yeah, I mean, as I say, I picked up a PSP recently, and I've been really impressed with it as a system. As I say, it's got lots of exclusive games, and there are games that started on the PSP that have then spawned into proper series. It has a lot of RPG games, which is quite nice, because on a handheld, you know, the controls aren't necessarily the best, and an RPG is quite nice to kind of casually play and pick up when you've got the time. And yeah, as I say, I've just been really impressed with it. Really enjoyed my time with it. And I'd really recommend the PSP to anyone. In 2021, you know, there are kind of soft mod options, and you can get SD card adapters for the memory stick, so you can just load up an SD card with a load of ISOs. You can compress those ISOs. So I've got, you know, only a kind of 32 gigabyte SD card here, and you know, it's about 2/3, maybe, you know, not much over half full actually, and I've got 20 something games on here. So you know, good option in as I say, in 2021. Let's see if we can take out this boss. Okay, he's getting a bit angry now. Sort of starts to quicken up. I think eventually his eyeball is the indicator. It begins to kind of pop out of his head before he eventually gives up the ghost. But this boss is much more difficult than the arcade game boss. That boss is really quite straightforward. The other thing is that the PSP is not that expensive. I mean, I bought a one with without a battery, without a back cover, but that was fully functional, for £25, I think, and then, you know, bought a second-hand battery, or a kind of aftermarket battery, aftermarket power cable, and a kind of you know, Chinese cover. So altogether, it didn't come to much more than £38, something along those lines, which is a pretty cheap outlay, to be honest, because, you know, with the video out, you know, you've got a console that has a similar power to a PlayStation 2, that kind of generation, with similar games. So yes, okay, so we've beaten the boss. We've beaten the boss there. That was the first level. So yeah, with that, I kind of want to wrap up the video. As I say, I'm really enjoying having a PSP. It's not a console I owned at the time, and so discovering the library, and you know, having the ability to kind of play these games on the go as well is really nice. I was on holiday recently, took my PSP with me, and really played it quite a bit. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, you know, bit of information about the PSP, a bit of a look at Parodius Portable, and yeah, hopefully I'll be back with some more PSP videos. So yeah, you guys stay safe, and I'll catch you soon.